Biotech discourse, heavily securitized discourse, that still making Hamilton, they got rid of biotech unless it compounded to seem complete actual match operating forces, these types of elements of possible attack with insecurity to stay independent but actual occurring tech threat, during past new and search strategy, aimed at mitigating threat involved, when insecurity intervention, the pressure over the difference between rear technical boundaries, between the current spreads, launching and forms, by some objective insecurity and equipment that are under reproduced separating, insecurity that is examined their facilities, their permutation, do the plan without the reps, obviously, they should be tried to the reps otherwise separate which acts on the ground, all over when still apply plus our strategy is just about rejecting the ass rep, the negative reps, or reps don't matter. If we win the K, all the other cards are just examples of why their reps are wrong. There's a picture of time that no one is running entity only gendered by hubristic belief in the eternality of American domination pan. They force something touch with government indulged to take China, being where our urgency China to run the people afraid to proceed to cooperate with U.S. terrorist planning. We want to try to work on blowing around by effective selling U.S. continues. Taking 2% in the obscurity amount of progress would be enough to remain threatening. Which have to count without war, which controls the center of our construction by the our principal understanding U.S. self-concern, without security, security, central health U.S., imaginary self U.S., imaginary health. Or actually, politics. And should this raise reject the argument to concede the votes right all to means you don't get all link to concede all cost means that the budget deal needs to need no sequestration which takes out takes all sequestration.
And sequestration is empirically done.
Counterpoint. Counterpoint not going for purchase reason to reject the argument of the team. Okay, T. I know this argument didn't seem great against other aspects. They've completely mishandled the core evaluation. They are not adjusting mechanisms for funding the plan because they created a price for that allows for infinite future change in funding that are not direct investments. It's an independent violation, and that none of their standards apply to the violation. They increase transportation infrastructure investment means the F must increase direct federal capital funding to transportation. The F doesn't do that on a couple levels. First, there's no justification for a price for being top level. First, that's not immediate. Our evidence indicates that capital spending has to be immediate spending invested. Second, is that doesn't necessarily result in future investment with a private price. Stay the same. They wouldn't actually need to invest in anything in the future. Second, is that they invest in taxes, which is not direct investment, but as debt. There's a distinction between gas tax and other forms of funding. Deficit spending uses existing structure, which is a part of investment, but the app creates new structure for investment that is fundamentally separate, which means they create a new structure of investment, obviously not a topical like hell. Their weenie cards are laughable. Their LIBN evidence gives them nothing. Just says that the gas tax money would be used for investment, not that the gas tax is investment. Their daily coast evidence is talking about investment in the context of a investment in the future. Daily coast is also a little hack blog, obviously for our Warner evidence from a qualified author talking about transportation plan in a vacuum. Doesn't necessitate an increase in investment. That means we get a dissettling Federal Highway Administration. It's a HCX support highway program Casper University. The federal share reports about the releasing HM by an appropriation act. Now the counter-interpretation, the counter-interpretation debate first is that their counter-interpretation is we can only use existing taxes that fund transportation infrastructure. They do not mean this counter-interpretation because they changed existing tax. What was the price for? That was the first argument. Now it means even if we don't win, then our violation is the best we win. That they have functionally no violations. They don't mean their violation means our violation. Again, functionally limitless topic means we obviously limit this information about for first that they create no limits over the point. It's a tiny gap that can just change the price for. They can claim that it might lead to investment means they could functionally freeze status quo infrastructure levels and status quo investment levels and still be top class seconds. There's no education concerns about funding and things that do not necessarily result in funding. Our interpretation doesn't overwhelmingly. You can still talk about existing funding structures. You just can't create new funding structures. We can also talk about the investment on the negative. We don't have to allow the effort to create new forms of investment, which is obviously not a topical action. Obviously kills topic ground because taxes, well, despite core arguments like spending dissent, which are the core of the topic on the dissent, that is about investment. Don't let them just send the extra T part of the act. Obviously, extra T Jackson makes mention the fundamental part of their affirmative means we're fundamentally behind it. You have to reject them for extra topical funding. Their second counter-interpretation about federal funding is a waste of breath. Our argument is that they are not federal funding. They include a part that is independent of federal funding. Nothing doesn't check. Solvency advocates obviously don't check because there's a solvency advocate for any potential argument and reasonability. But doesn't check the topic. Research means we should know what the gas tax is. Not ready to debate their interpretation more arbitrary than ours. They create an unbiddable version of the resolution that was explained on the make the law a minor modification of funding extraction or regulation the wholesale until complaints we can never be ready for reasonable. These terrible laws arbitrary without warrants. It's standard comparison. Also determine what we should be debating because the people interpret as reasonable is not universal. Second, the T should be about setting our norms. They have to create a consensus on what T is debated. Only critical education about, what the resolution is, identical vastly about, have to just change the price for, and have to just increase one tax.
Okay, we have 7.
Then the energy damage, the innovation damage, then the commissions counterplan.
No, you just and then you can renovations, missions.
Extend the way maybe the plan best capital or allowable in BNF into it uses the wording of the resolution second is tax or investment financing is a prerequisite to investment of the top change or impact to the inclusive varsity exclusive agreements daily cost of benefits extend the contribution invested as form of that's a order from second we can only fund existing taxes that finance transportation structure that solves all their often we need adding the price force how you have to increase the tax solvency after predictability to counter interpretation short grids is the answer to why solvency solvency after no check or even all last to change the steps but we do that all other two solvency to drop in terms of why larger topics is better. These are all reasons why the price force good. They have no triple impact to go by. Specifying that it's uniquely have no distinction between their forms of often and deficit spending also is the only F that they said over there. Also requires finance and that's investment dictionary. They noted deficit spending with government expenditure trade exceeds Germany did succeed. The husband needs to be finance unlimited investment scheme after stability overlimited kills after innovation and the acts include non-offensive required finance cost climate research critical thinking comes proportion by the same arguments and second is also data on the opposite spending can cross counter kills education strategy leads to board being not challenging or education. We increase investment in ETF because there's no funding now, which means that we are net increase over limiting kills education 100% ground station. Our financing is getting negative investment mechanisms in avoid species education jump the interpretability. Second is it kills value education beats out finance kilo and about ETI issues that's what happens. There are those sustainable checks top like USD more towards resolution of literature and grounds will see triple impact ones only about the literature and then grounds and ML anyway can interpretation equally arbitrary default to reasonably interpretation rates from give us ground no maintain possible advanced capital the impact will concede tax you it's novel from the conditionality now the counterplan conditionality literature we see strategies the impact going through a revenue strategic thinking possible and that's our last case often which I was thinking flexible the just over under argument second moving target to be fluctuates also between our two office key actually being class of research and their responsibility keeping arguments key to undergo key interaction extend our contribution conditional obviously solves your offense your contribution there's no reason why you have to have 3 or interpretation solves all your offense because we can still learn about the critical policy literature reciprocity justifies conditional justifies advocating for separate second side passes the blocks case and counterpoints that ultimately the application is only respond to our interpretation terms only check on the counter-interpretation because then the plan would be compared to statute of debates in real world and traits in which I can be proved now now the top energy advantage. They continue to much more income concentration and no relative impact even to the station econ class resources for the capital for there's only others of those that goes nuclear leads to extinction innovation advantage we're only going to go for the econ decline impact disease arguments disease the disease are coming out of those mutation concentration second is econ decline results in inversion comes those nuclear lead to extinction the case. Oh, they also continue detail that would be also on the case competency the case competency more than vice versa. Second, first is the plans also reports of filters and second is no internal into nuclear or there's no impact to a ROC 2.0 no for investment in terms from the affirmative solves the impact anyway there's no error repetition any successful policy impact there's no policy failure that's already been clear multiplicity meaning sufficient render meal set of expressions exist in the object reality error interpretation generalization used by linguistic nuances relatively insignificant mark the evidence and if it's insignificant now the affirmative debate the judge should be a policymaker's task all cost benefit policy not that's the rest of performance predictable resolution tasks is viewed subject and second is fairness and for educational terms perspective growing the 2 weeks means we can't clash with arguments in the path of least resistant charges research we internal and their education arguments we approve as per China evidence that are epistemology to second is there's no risk of overloading you have to win the alternative they win part of the affirmative is a bad thing you win the part of the affirmative is a good thing you still vote affirmative you have it's their burden for the entirety of the F is bad it's an attack off an F this an impact on their framing 2 reasons one reputational focus, an indicator of intellectual empowerment, and it doesn't result in any sort of practical policy uniquely supercharged by the confidence and says there's no impact to direct construction. Direct construction does not necessitate or it's empirically proven or can be avoided by mobilizing against these specific different forms of threat. Now, the weakness of the negative block is that they're so weak on the bottom of the field. They conceded the incidents evidence that indicates scenario planning and different forms of predictions are good, which means that you have to mobilize against things like China conflict that maximizes any sort of 2-yard try back frame. And second is the Walter reference indicates that we can control the escalation of conflicts, extend the permutation view, the plan takes a result, so when we see that benefit of solving our big reference is good, and it's has competition, they can still make solve our plan, and contribution, we defend the plan text also, it's also extend permutation, but the fact that they have not answered the McCormick evidence from the 2C means there's that as a transition, is add to the alternative, and it results in different forms of execution. Only the permutation is the best option, and this specifically around solve now the links force and debate econ finding, they have no relative impact even to the world evidence that cites statistics. Free argument is supercharged by the fact that the 2C said that predictions in the economy are uniquely true. He says his more for this argument is that interventions are bad. We agree, that's why we should get the United States all depends when see evidence like quotes from the CCP, which our representation are true. The Blumenthal evidence also says that they're going to attack, which is why we have to mobilize these different forms of deterrence mechanisms in these steps. So no impact to the bioterrorist markets. We're not going for that impact, just disease or shell evidence in specific. Our one see evidence like statistical analysis on this question.
420.
Okay. County, then B3.
Okay. Our counter interpretation solves all their arguments with three conditional analysis with no cross applications means there can be contradictions means that means that they only do any other strategy because they can read whatever arguments they want on each quote there. Since we can't make cross applications, they can't read off now we are keep negative grounds only negative ground the affirmative has the correct new affirmatives and add-ons at all, making it impossible to be negative. Strategically, the only one strategically way to make a single mistake is impossible. As an advocate, also three conditional efficacy to check the app from as many perspectives as possible. That's the closest thing to railroad policy making because the attack come from all sides means they should be prepared to defend these arguments best. These are linked to education because it's the only way to actually become the advocates outside of the big down permutation. Doesn't just by advocating permutation because that makes it impossible for us to do this either way. Any permutation they advocate would either include the plan or include their representations which is the link, or not do the plan, which is severance, and that's the voting you don't like that. Okay, now the man the way they express their affirmative is inherently secure. Even if I do not want to link to every portion of it there, every portion of it, they consider the framing that if we want to link to a single part of the affirmative that is an indictment of their scholarship, it means that the way they construct their affirmative is undesirable. Yes, even if they win that they part of the app, you should vote affirmative. It is a question of what part of the app they have to win is desirable. If they have not answered the argument that if we win that part of their scholarship is bad, then it means their whole scholarship is bad because Neocleus evidence indicates that the inclusion of securitizing logics within policies leads to co-option, makes activity outside of them impossible, meaning that you should orient yourself against those types of policies. Now, the links that are going for they have not adequately addressed the pan evidence. Yes, they might have cited a couple of quotes from Chinese officials. Those citations are within the context of the modern American military-industrial complex. And choose lines from people like them just in order to identify the most threatening scenarios of pan evidence indicates that doing this is precisely the logic that is part of maintaining American security. Now, additionally, these arguments they have made is a perfect example of the way they rush to the biggest impact. Their own author concludes that the risk of disease causing extinction is extremely small. Yet the only part of it that they read is the part that says the risk of human survival. This is the logic that securitizes the problem makes genuine action impossible. That's the achievement of Bruce evidence. Now, the impact of all these arguments is first the affirmative cannot solve their the law evidence indicates the way they've gone about constructing these threats makes it impossible for them to engage in the actual roots of the problem, which always necessarily tells the U.S. because the U.S. is an actor involved in the cycle that creates the possibility of conflict with China. If the U.S. doesn't decide to push that red button, then there is no way that China war can escalate because China does not alone have the nuclear capability to wipe us off the face of the earth, which means that you should logic, or you should reject the logical distinction that they talk about now. We can access the external extinction impact. The MAC evidence indicates that why indicates that their logic is the only one capable of causing extinction now. Different, we outweigh our internal needs to education outweigh the only real way to create a substantive policy is by looking at the justification behind the Green Hall evidence is exceptional in this question indicates that policies do not exist in the abstract. They are predicated on the way we use our representation to structure our way we use representation to structure our response. They evidence like a Chinese policymaker saying something could be true to mean that they are threatened or that they are being threatened, meaning that there is no objective response policy, means that analyzing what is the best practice in response is the only way to have an actual policy right now. We can apply within this world. It is obviously difficult for the affirmative to defend their scholarship. They are the ones responsible for choosing their representation they present. They're one I see now. The part of the arguments are wrong. I particularly link to the impacts they have extended anyway now. Extended anyway. The Taft-Kaufman evidence is answered by Green Hall and by the second part of the framework that indicates that by excluding representations we make expanding the democratic space impossible just by relying on the type of construction of evidence that the affirmative is engaged in. They cause violence because we cannot invent language necessary to create substantive diplomacy now. The permutation argument, the first permutation is separate. The affirmative should be tied to the representations because our reps evidence prove that they are an integral part of what is the policy of the affirmative either way. Allowing them to sever is unpredictable because the affirmative chooses those representations. The plain text alone is not sufficient competition because we cannot always generate links specific to what the affirmative plain text. The second permutation is co-opted the nucleus evidence and the link arguments that we have read all indicate that including an alternative within the securitizing mindset of the status the affirmative makes it impossible to act outside of it because we become just another less militarized sector of security, meaning that there is never a chance for it to solve the predictions. Good arguments.
I don't need to win those if we win that their predictions are based on bad epistemology.
Where's the innovation advantage? Okay. Okay.
Case that way, the 2 and R loses the forest for the future. The big picture resolution of this debate is they may win, and some of our representations are constructed. They may even win to China. It's not fair, but that is not wholesale disprove that our affirmative is a good idea. The residual risk of the outweighs, and in terms of the they have absolutely no defense of the 2 and R to the economy scenario. We have a very, very robust defense up here. We have made things that highways are not going to be funded in the status quo because the highway trust fund is out of money. That causes the economy to down, so we don't have the ability to trade goods because our highways are our ability to trade and export all of our goods. Economic decline causes the rallying on the five countries turn inward and causes the U.S. government to lash out to gain popular support. The royal evidence is grounded in empirical statistical studies that when the economy declines, it's more likely to solve conflict. It's a causal explanation for why countries do not go to war with one another because of economic interdependence. It's a piece of evidence that they have read. And if you want to U.S. China, because why countries don't go to war, the Carnot evidence from the UAC, which they have no answer to, says the forecast of economic crash are key to assess the risk and internal problems and effectively be dealt with as a very good defense of our epistemology. Why we use these representations, the 200 doesn't even breathe on the economy, and instead of their relative defense to they can see the scenario for extinction that is outweighs because they can see the util or the 1 AR 2AC that is a policymaker, your obligation to fall to large impacts, even if there's a lower probability because it's something the humanity cannot come back from. They have no argument that interacts on that level. Second, in fact, I'm going to go from this advantage is the cancer impact. We said that we're not going to provide you can win all of your overall disease, being constructed in Belgian conflict extinction was the only time they made with the 1AC and 2AC both introduced 2 claims. One is that we solve virus here. Second is that studying those diseases are a way to solve spin-off things to solve cancer, which you know is a real disease, and they have absolutely no, and that it's also an offense of representing it as a threat. It's the only when we represent it this way that we study the disease with these spill over to cause cancer, which they have to even see this. Obviously outweighs the case. They do not have an impact. I already explained the util argument above, but their impacts boil down to what a truth case argument, which is not very well explained, and the 2R is not meant to be threshold. When they debate on how they turn our arguments, especially the econ argument that I'm going for when he's conceded internally, so explanation of how it causes the economy to to go to another war test because we see highways are keeping the economy, he's not at the standard, and you should not read the evidence to talk about the Harvey evidence. They conceded from the 1AR. This language is clear enough. We have the ability to understand our options. Now, the only other impact they saying trying to garner is an external extinction impact was absolute nonsense, not explained in the 2NC or even to a sufficient level in the 2NR for you to explain to us after the bit, especially when the jump the 2AC call for evidence extended and you want to that says direct injunction is not sufficient to cause a war. So we say that not access an extinction impact. It says that even when hostile narratives are present, they have to be harnessed. If we can provide a line of cooperation, i.e. the plan, to cooperate with countries like China or have a better economy, to be able to defend them instead of harnessed, and there can't be an impact to repeat, not to critique. Just gonna send the framework debate at the top quickly is the reason that we get to weigh the app. We say here all their education claims and cards, even if they win the education claims, we're talking about education insofar as the representations affect policymaking in the first place. The way we talk about the world may have negative consequences, but their evidence and their 2NC cross only impacts that insofar as how it shapes the way in which we interact with the world. What's necessarily needed is the way the cost benefits of the plan, especially in the context of our representations, will make the impact turn the representations that we have made. And you want to see that also means you have to evaluate the K in the context of what we win the affirmative does and whether or not it outweighs the K impact, especially when they've conceded you to always their education, they've conceded a predictability standards from the one other predictability comes before, and you have their education standards. We can't learn about the critique. We're not ready to engage in the first place. Even if you think they're pretty far in education, we have an internal link to say no interest. Even if they win the framework debate, you have the positive effect of the rhetoric of the plan, and we've been back to the reps arguments. So I'm pretty sure we'll to win the debate. The winning framework also begs the question of what the alternative solves, and they haven't won it solves very much now. I've answered all of our Victor, that was also the one I answered to the way to defend all of our scholarships. The way the positive effects of the plan framework our 1AC scholarship, and they have no reason why does that way, especially in utilitarian framework or panelings. We do not need to win China to the threat because you don't have an external impact to it. Does the threat conjunction, but I'll defend it really quickly anyway, just to be sure that with all the depictions of China are accurate. It's empirics. We've been trying to be friendly with China. They've only built up their military and beyond more aggressive. They can't tell you what the gold standard is to make them a threat to the 2NC, which means you should give us a ton of leeway here. They can't tell you exactly what they're looking for. When we have quotes multiple people in the CP and PLA, especially people like Huge Tower, the head people who are the head of the PLA, and it's pretty close to what they're willing to do for oil now. They have not extended the alternative, and in 2 hours means you cannot vote for them. In this debate, you should not read through their alternative cards, reconstruct a debate they did not extend. You're extended a transition more DA, and you want to the state will co-opt the transition, and the system of security will cause power disparities for stronger nations last time to maintain legitimacy to the core government to the 2AC, and also we see a policy incorporation argument within this reason that about concrete policy analysis becomes impossible. Having meaningful institutional change means only the permutation can solve it. Has the net benefit of the case arguments that would outweigh any of the risk, but also solve any residual link that they may win. A transition to set means even if you vote for the alternative, which is absolutely nothing, it can't resolve any of their impacts. It means even if they win forever, the rest of it resolve those impacts through the permutation because they have no defense to resolve those impacts in the alternative.